Da starter jeg, Thomas. Og der vi live.
Welcome to the May release presentation of Public 360 Online. We look forward to show you all the new functionality that is in the May release presentation as part of this webinar. First, some practical information. If you have questions, please use the chat function, and we will have a Q&A session at the end where we highlight some of the questions and answers. The webinar will be recorded and shared with all of you after the webinar. And please spend a few moments to share your feedback by answering a short questionnaire after the webinar. Today's presenters: Willy Koch, Technical Product Manager and also the Product Manager of eArchive, is going to talk about enhancements in the core Public 360 product. Bjørn Tore Eriksen, Product Manager of AI and Insights in Public 360, is going to talk about the big enhancements that are part of the new version of Archive Inspector. Morten Jensen, Head of Public 360 Product Management, is going to talk about news in Plan and Build and also the next steps in our development. And me, Thomas Mesel, Public 360 Product Manager, and I have with me to demo Architect Tero Arvola. So I will be your host of this webinar. A disclaimer. This presentation contains the highlights of new and improved functionality in the release. However, we cannot cover all details. Please read the release information for more details. And if you look at the PowerPoint after the meeting, you will see that it links to the help files where you can look at all the details, and you will see that it's a lot of new functionality that we haven't been able to cover in this session. So let's just remember the vision of Public 360 to improve working life for public servants and daily life for citizens. And the 5 pillars that are going to help us get to the vision. It's proactive decision support, automated and transparent, intuitive design, expert domain knowledge, and sustainable and ethical. And the highlights in this release we have chosen to categorize in those pillars. And we start with the improvements in the core product. We have a lot of new email functionality, and we have also a lot general of functionality improvements in the product, which Willy will show. We have a lot of new news in the 360 Plan and Build. And the 360 eArchive, in this version, it takes another step towards a flexible archive core. And we have improved accessibility in the May release of Public 360 Online. When it comes to new functionality in existing modules, we have the Archive Inspector, where we are now also handling health analysis and sensitivity overview. Bjørn Tore is going to cover that in his session. And we have now completed the SharePoint integration with import from Public 360 to SharePoint. We will also talk about that later. We have enhancements in the Information Act Request module, which Morten will talk about. And then coming soon, we have event support in Civ. We also have a premiere on a new module in the May release, and that module is further supporting Public 360 Online as a tool for archive by design. More about that later. But now over to you, Willy, with enhancements in the core product.
Right, so what are the first and hopefully welcome modification is to the My Items side panel on the left side of all our 360 solutions. We have done some changes to simplify the date intervals. To only have one named last 5 days and then older. So it's because usually it's typical that you work with something over a few days or during a work week. We also moved the all history link that is at the top of the over the table, so it's more easily accessible if you have a long list of items, and that will then navigate to the previous or the full size history view, which we all know that many you still prefers. Another important change here is that you can now choose the filters, and they will then be now remembered when you navigate away from the page. So say you click on a case and then open the item side panel again, it will then still remember your options for filtering on case, document, and so on. So hopefully that will make it even more intuitive to use. Next slide, please. In the workflow views, there's been done a few minor changes, but also for a more intuitive use, that we have made the audit trail on the activity on the workflow easily accessible from the menu options under workflow functions. And also when doing a review on a Word document or something that you can edit, we now have the edit button below the page alongside the other options for download or pop out and so on, because now it just to make it easy to edit and do any changes if needed. Next slide. There's been a lot of new accessibility improvements in the 360 core. We've gotten new people who are only working on this and also started to use a new tool called Accessibility Insight, where we have found a lot of different issues that needed to improve, more than over 30. And these are for instance, to be able to navigate to different items using the keyboard, and this is then not probably apparent for most users, but especially if you use screen readers and so on, and assistive technology. And it's also worth mentioning that we recently won a new bid for a customer Nav in Norway, where we also scored at the top when it came to accessibility. So this is something we have a really high focus on going forward, and that will be part of all developments from the very early stages. So this is a core, crucial part for us. Next slide, please. The unregistered documents web part has been used more and more during the latest releases. And in version 6, it was launched in this new React version of the web part. Now we have standardized on only this because we have added so much new functionality that the old one is no longer wanted to use. We have a filter section now that you can click on top of over the unregistered documents list, and we also have a new code table called registration category that you can use or customize as you wish to easily highlight and categorize the documents that are incoming. So I will demo this later. Next slide, please. And another function that has been technically possible to do in previous versions, but now you can actually take any email from in the format of an MSG or an email, typical email formats, and archive directly from Outlook or from the desktop or wherever the file is stored, and archive it onto a case in 360. And it will then extract subject, contacts, and any file attachments in the same way that has only been possible before via the Outlook side panel. So this is a very welcome addition, because based on now a lot of new insight into how our users use Outlook, we know that being able to use Outlook across monitors, working and dragging emails and so on between Outlook and the browser is something most users do. So this I will also show in the next demo. Next slide, please. We've also launched this a new reply by email functionality that works directly in the browser. This is a setting which you need to enable to be able to use. That will, especially for those using our Office online version, where this has not been possible before, where you can then actually generate this an email and send out to the recipient, which then will be saved as an outbound document or wherever you select it to be in the options. And it's then also logged that the email was sent. So this is also one step in having more browser functionality that was only possible in the Outlook side panel. Next slide, please. And for eArchive, our overall goal for eArchive is to make it also a really flexible archive core to be able to archive from all kinds of different solutions, not just those following the traditional archive standards like NUARC or Saketo. So we have support for different entities. You can use the unregistered documents, as I showed. And we also now support printing barcodes from documents, which could be useful if you need to scan existing documents that previously have existed only in the paper archives. So this requires some configuration. So if this is something that might be interesting, please contact sales or the eArchive team for assistance. So I think the next slide then goes to the slides. I will try to share my screen. Okay, now I'm hopefully visible. Yes, so here we have recently upgraded 360. We can start with the history, where we can see here that we have the different filters. And if I select or I can clear them, I can see that it will appear. But then if I navigate to a case like this, it will then, when I click it again, it will then still remember the settings. So a minor detail, but maybe something that has caused some frustration, because maybe you only want to look at cases and that you're not really interested in seeing, for instance, files. And then over to the new unregistered documents web part. It has a nice filter section now that you need to expand to see, where you have these different filters. So for instance, if you're looking for a certain category, you can then go to here and select high and click apply filters, and then you will only see those filters. If you only want to, then you can clear this again, and you can, for instance, look at the last 24 hours, and then you will only see. So this makes it really quick, and we know that a lot of customers get a lot of incoming documents from different integrations and so on. So and you can also then filter on the different sources of this. So for instance, if you have a scanner, you can then go ahead and filter on that, right? No filters there. The last one, the email archiving. Here we have a case where I will then show how you can archive the email. So here we have a email in my inbox. I drag it over here. It will then trigger the upload as it would. And then now it's finished and uploaded. And once you get into the wizard, you will then see that it has extracted the title, and the contacts are also extracted. It's just me, myself, and I here now, but and then it also has all the files as has been extracted, as you can see here. And this has not been possible before because we haven't had the functionality on the server or in 360 to handle this. And it also handles duplicates. So if you have if you're archiving from Outlook and someone else tried to archive the same email, I can try that here on another server. And then once I drag it over here, it will then show the email is already saved. Do you want to continue? So it has that kind of logic for all the ways that you can archive emails into 360. So that was a quick demo of some of the core functionality that we hope you will find very useful. So I think that's over to you, Bjørn Tore.
Yes. Thomas, can you take up the presentation again? Thank you. So we are very proud to introduce the next version of 360 Archive Inspector. In this version, we deliver on some of the most wanted functionality by our customers, and we will have a closer look at this. But first, a reminder of why Archive Inspector can play an important part for you as a customer. Public organizations are under a lot of pressure when it comes to transparency versus privacy. An Archive Inspector can be a small but important part of the quality assurance process. And it is not only an operational tool, but also an enabler for customers to work structured with quality processes and quality culture. So let's have a look at the new capabilities. So next slide, please. In the first version of Archive Inspector, we focused on identifying IDs and passwords. Now the time has come for the introduction of personal health information. This type of information can often be very sensitive, but if someone publishes information about rules, regulations, or other type of information related to public health, this is of course not sensitive. Archive Inspector will analyze surrounding text of health words, as well as metadata on file, document, and case, to establish if the information is about individuals and not the general population. And to enable users to quickly assess if the information needs screening, emphasis has been taken to ensure that the validation is understandable and efficient. In the demo, we will see how this is done in practice. Next slide, please. Starting with this version, we are also providing insight into areas where sensitivity is found and how it has been handled. This will help you as a customer get a better understanding of the quality of your current processes and can give invaluable information for where you should focus your effort, whether this is working with the quality of the archive, training of people, or working with a quality culture. The sensitivity overview will show areas with findings, how they are handled, as well as development over time. So let's start a small video that illustrates how Archive Inspector can help users in their daily work, as well as working with a sensitivity overview. So could you please play the video?
We will now look at the latest version of 360 Archive Inspector with a focus on the new personal health information analysis and sensitivity overview. Please note that although P360 is in English, the sample document and health explanation is in Norwegian. 360 Archive Inspector is designed to be an effective tool for registrars to support daily quality assurance and driving process improvements. The tab for regular scan gives you the overview of new findings with potential sensitive content, and here we can see that a document is found with possible personal health information. Since there is no finding in the metadata of the document, we minimize the document and contact information panels and focus on the files with findings. To identify if health information is used in a personal context, Archive Inspector looks at both case, document, and file information, like explained in this information panel. Reviewing if health information is sensitive is not always easy. 360 Archive Inspector supports this in two ways: a detailed explanation of how it is set in a personal context, and the concrete health information is highlighted in the file. Here we can see that it has found a health information in a sample document.
Am I the only one who lost audio now?
No, it seems like something happened here. I will reshare the screen.
Close to the health work.
If there is a problem with the audio, let me just do a live translation. So let's just play it.
Word, and that the document has a reference to a private person. Using this information, registrars can effectively verify if the information is sensitive and screen the content if needed. In addition to the daily quality assurance, Archive Inspector also supports process improvements and organizational learning. The sensitivity overview provides aggregated information of all 360 Archive Inspector findings. It gives information about what type of sensitive information have been found, where it has been found, like case, document and file. This can be used for resource planning when there are many findings to review, but is also an important indicator to quantify general quality status throughout the organization. Examples can be an integration process that produces certain types of sensitivity challenges, an area in the archive, or a type of document. By using the sensitivity overview as a starting point for their investigation, customers can now identify such problem areas and act accordingly. Depending on what you want to use the information for, you can choose to look at number of findings or number of elements. Both aspects can be valuable. It depends on your situation and what gives you the most information. You can also see how much has been found, screened, reviewed without screening, and if there are elements that have not been reviewed yet. Further, you can see the distribution on finding type. On the right-hand side there is one panel for all findings and another displaying only those that has been screened. This gives a good picture on how the findings have been handled in the organization. To see if there are seasonal differences or periods with higher number of sensitivity challenges, you can also see findings distributed over time and how the total number of findings are developing. This can even provide evidence if process improvements, dedicated training or investment in quality culture has had a concrete effect and results in a decreasing number of sensitivity findings over time. As for the overview, it is possible to drill down on type of element and type of finding for more detailed insight. Here we can see how findings are distributed over time for one of our internal test servers.
That was it for the demo. Could you go back to the presentation, Thomas?
We will now look at the latest version.
Yes, thank you. So, in addition to the personal health analysis and the sensitivity overview, we have made some further important improvements. The Review tab gives you as a user the possibility to find all the information that has been reviewed for sensitivity. For instance, if you need to check if the review that was done last Friday is okay, maybe you were in a hurry and you need to check once more, you can use the Review tab to easily find it. However, this list can be quite large, so good functionality to find a specific case, document or file is important, and we have extended how you can do this. In addition to the already existing filter possibilities, we have added a search field that will use the global search, but limited to the cases, documents and files that has been reviewed. This means you can search for related information and inside file content, and finding the information you look for will be easier. And the result can be sorted on case or document number or the review date, and you can sort with newest or oldest first. Next slide, please. Before we end, a small recap on the analysis of personal health. Now we have analysis of the case, document and file as a whole, identification if it is in a personal context, efficient UI that explain how and why this might be sensitive. Next slide. And we can use the sensitivity overview to improve processes and drive learning in the organization by visualizing the quality of the archive, as well as development over time. Do resource planning when there are many findings. Identify areas or time periods with sensitivity challenges. Again, we are super happy to introduce these new capabilities and would at the same time take the opportunity to thank our innovation customers for all the effort they have put into this, helping us create Archive Inspector. Thomas, back to you.
Thank you, Bjørn Tore. Thank you for a very good presentation. I'm going to continue with some other news in the product. Now the 360 integration with SharePoint is complete. So we have implemented all the main functionalities that we have planned. And the 360 integration with SharePoint is an important integration because a lot of our existing customers have SharePoint and want to integrate with Public 360. So quite a few of you customers have the Teams integration already, and the SharePoint integration is very similar to the Teams integration. You have the possibility to archive from SharePoint to Public 360. You have the possibility to synchronize files between SharePoint and 360, and now you also have the possibility to import from 360 to SharePoint. And Tero will show you in a video how that is done right after this slide. We also have the possibility now to have a new option in SharePoint, which is called Send to 360, which means that you just send the file to the unregistered document list and it will be archived further from there. Tero will also show that. Our existing customers on our old integration with SharePoint, the 360 SharePoint Connect, will at some point need to change to this new module. The timeline is not set yet, and you will get more information when you need it. The pricing on the new and old SharePoint integration remains the same. So it's the same price as it was with the SharePoint Connect. Hours related to making the transition between the two integrations will be charged. And feel free to contact us if this sounds interesting. And remember to check that you are on SharePoint 2019 or newer, because that is the versions that we support. Now we're going to show a film where this is demoed.
Hello, I'm going to give a short demo on the 360 SharePoint integration new functionalities that are released with the 360 Online May release. So the main new functionalities are possibility to import files from SharePoint from 360 to SharePoint, and a new way to archive files from SharePoint to 360. So if we go to the app configuration screen, we see that we have a new drop-down here with two archiving methods. User archiving, which is the method we have previously already released, where a user can archive a file from SharePoint and be redirected to the document registration in 360 to complete the registration. Now with this centralized archiving, we give the possibility for the users to just send files from SharePoint to 360 import archive, and then they will be centrally registered through the unregistered documents view. So once we have the centralized archiving selected and the user selects files, there's a new option here, send to 360, and from there user can decide if they want to create a single document for the selected files or create a separate document for each file they have selected. And once they click on send to 360, the files will be sent to the 360 import archive and can be registered through the unregistered documents view in 360. Until the documents are registered, this not registered status will be displayed. And the other new functionality is the possibility to import files from 360. So here we have the possibility to search for cases or documents. I'm going to search for a case, and once I select the case, it will list all the documents under the case and all the files under each document. We have some additional information on the case and documents available as well. Here, a user can then select the files that they want to import and click on the file import. If there are restricted files, an icon is displayed, and if a user selects restricted files, they are notified that you're about to import the restricted files, and they get the opportunity to include or exclude those files. We also have a global setting restricting the import of restricted files completely, so that users cannot import restricted files through this integration. I'm going to include this time, and then the files will be imported, and the page refreshes, and we should see the archiving status here. One more new functionality which is available for SharePoint Online is the possibility to add the needed app permissions from the configuration screen. So we have a check connection button here that will check for the needed app permissions, and if they are not set, there will be another button here to set the needed permissions. But in this case, the permissions already exist, so that's okay. That's all. Thanks. Hello.
Yes, thanks to Tero for that video. Now over to SIF improvements. We now have support in SIF for events happening in 360. And this is something that will give the possibility to create even better integration against all your other systems. So how it works is that if something happens inside of 360, that some case is updated, for instance, then an external system can use this functionality to listen to the events that happen in 360 and act accordingly in integrations. And this will cater for more efficient data flows and better performance, and also a very modern integration architecture. And several of you customers have asked about this in different occasions. So the functionality is in pilot state, and we are looking for pilot customers. So please reach out to us if you want to participate in the pilot project with SIF events. And now I'm proud to introduce a module that is catering for a new level of archive by design support in 360. It's called the 360 Autosaver. And the 360 Autosaver automates the saving of documents that are received from other systems and into the unregistered document list. 360 Autosaver will be a great helper in registering documents. And with no code changes required, you can configure your own archiving processes. So if we look a little bit more into this, the process here is that you get the data documents from different sources, and the documents are coming in through the unregistered document list through different APIs. For instance, SIF or Svar in an e-formidling in Norway and NGDP in Denmark. And then the Autosaver processes the data in the unregistered list and puts it into an archiving state. So it's archived finished. And we will show a video afterwards that shows this in practice. So, and the big the big difference between processes that we have implemented before, like Startgood, for instance, this is configurable, so you don't need to do code changes to implement a new archiving process. And we are releasing, as a part of the May release, we are also releasing configuration for the Kobo process. Kobo is a Husbanken system that a lot of municipalities in Norway are using. So that is going to be in production at our early release customers, maybe this week already. And in addition to that, we have started to look on Altinn forms. So then if you use the Altinn, the new version of Altinn Studio, you are able to send forms through e-formidling into Public 360 and the unregistered document list, and the 360 Autosaver will take it from there. And then we have an example that we are going to use in our video afterwards, and that is a educational system that is called Vigo, where you apply for different things related to education. I want you to think about, not only when you think about this, when you look at this demo, don't only think about the Vigo process, but think about if you have a similar process that you want to get archived from different expert systems that you have, that you want to send it very easily into the unregistered list of Public 360, and then the 360 Autosaver will archive it automatically for you. So here's a little film on how the 360 Autosaver works.
Here we are in the unregistered document list, where the documents come in from different sources. I have filtered it on Vigo documents. You can see one. Normally, it would be a manual task to register this document, create the case, and so on, but now I'm going to explain how the 360 Autosaver automatically can save it for you. The Vigo document consists of the PDF and a file that contains metadata about the file, and this file is very important because it contains the information that the Autosaver uses to be able to automatically save it. You can configure the Autosaver to include the meta file when the document is finally archived, or skip it when you have gotten the information that you need. Let's look at the info file. Autosaver checks the social security number if there is an existing contact in Public 360 already. The document is connected to that contact. We see that we have different properties coming from Vigo: document type, the document title, the submitted on, and the case reference. And now we want to show the core functionality of Autosaver, which is to connect the data that comes from Vigo into 360 document and case. We see that document type is mapped into the 360 category field. Document title is mapped to the title field. Submitted in is put into document date. When it comes to case reference, that field is used to identify if there is already an existing case that the document should be connected to. If not, then a new case is created. In 360 admin, there is a job that runs the 360 Autosaver. It is normally run each 30 seconds. For each document type that you have configured archiving processes for, it checks if there are any new documents in the document list and archives it if it is. When documents are archived, it is shown in the lower part of the screen. Here we see the document that is automatically saved into 360. You can recognize the title. Both files are saved. If you want to skip the meta file, that is a configuration option. This was the first document in a new case, so the Autosaver has created a case as well. The Autosaver has identified the contact in 360 and connected is as the sender of the document. This concludes the demo. Thank you.
Yeah, and here's a little practical information about the 360 Autosaver. About pricing, it will be priced per archiving process. So after you have signed the contract, you can configure as many archiving processes as you want, and it will be logged and added to your rental invoice. And please contact us if you have any ideas on how archiving processes in your organization, and we can help you configure the 360 Autosaver to support your archiving by design needs. Okay, now it's your time, Morten. Please take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, impressive stuff already. Hard act to follow. If you can click one slide forward, Thomas. Information Act requests. We have done quite a few improvements and updates also in the latest version of Public 360 Online. And first off, when you process an Information Act request, then if there is a newer file or a new version of the file available in the solution, you will get an information about this. This is the asterisk that we see on the right hand side. And also we have tightened security, meaning that if there is a file version that is actually used when processing Information Act requests, they cannot be deleted in the system anywhere. So this has actually been an issue a few times, and now we have just removed that option. And finally, on the functionality side, if you are doing partial reply, and this sometimes happens if you have very large and complex Information Act request cases, then you might want to send a reply to the first 5 requests, for instance. Then all the activities will be closed, so everything is in sync as you send the partial reply. This also means that your statistics will be more precise. Second half of this of the improvements is about what we call the auto IFAR process. The auto IFAR process is a process inside the Information Act request module that actually allows you to do completely automated processing on Information Act requests if the document that is requested has previously been granted. This works really well, and I would recommend more of our customers to use this. But you can now set who will be set responsible when this automatic request is coming in and it's being stored inside the system. The reason for this is if you use the default access matrix, then what we saw was that we actually had customers where a caseworker was then set as responsible. The case is obviously processed automatically. The response is sent back to the applicant and the case is closed. But that triggered 3 or 4 notifications to that caseworker every single time. So now you can choose who will be set responsible for the auto IFAR. So the process itself has not changed, but the usability and the user experience has actually improved quite significantly by this. Thomas, can we move forward, please? Plan and build. There are the recent additions to plan and build are substantial, and there's absolutely no way that I'll be able to cover everything for our plan and build customers. Individual meetings and follow-ups are being planned. But mainly, what we see in this version is a new and process-oriented interface for case. We have shown you some of this previously. We will see more today. We have also included support for customer-specific checklists, new flow for registering unregistered documents, and also a new module called 360 Estate or e-Eiendom in Norwegian. Next slide, please. On the process-oriented interface, sorry, we talked to a lot of customers, and what they told us was that they requested more flexibility. They also wanted more automation, better overview, and basically fewer clicks. So this, of course, is something that we have worked on. What we see in the interviews when we talk to the customers is what the customers actually gain is an increased efficiency. So we have actually reduced the processing time and the time to get the overview, increase the data quality, equal treatment as all cases are treated the same, and ultimately a better user experience. So this is why we have done it, and what we have seen so far and what we believe the customers are actually gaining from this. Next slide, Thomas. So this is an example of the process-oriented overview in this instance is a dividing case. So you see on the left-hand side, you basically see all the process information. Where are we? Which milestones have we reached? Which milestones are upcoming? Then in the center, you will see both document information, but in this instance, it's actually also about the checklists and the actions that you can perform. And then on the right-hand side, here you see a map integration where you can also do things like get neighbors and mark points and stuff like that. So and everything is nicely integrated in one interface. We have the same type process for the case registration, where you also have a completely different both integration to map on the actual registration process, as well as for as a new and better integration of file viewer. Next slide, please, Thomas. I mentioned customer-specific checklists. So the way that Plan and Build works is that we heavily rely on the national checklists that are being supplied. But in addition, we also now support the option for customers to have customer-specific checklists that you can integrate either as a completely independent on an individual step for a specific case type, etc. So you can use that both in combination with the existing processes, but also for different types of process support in the solution. And something, by the way, that is equally relevant for the Public 360 audience as for the Plan and Build audience, as this leads to a lot more sort of ad hoc process support in the solution. Next slide. And then we have the new e-estate module, or e-Ejendom. So this is estate cases is sort of it's an integrated part of the value chain in planning and building cases, and it is a natural extension and elongation of the functionality. With the module, we can provide sort of end-to-end support for handling building and planning cases. The module has been developed in close collaboration with our customers. It also signals an even closer customer intimacy in the way that we work, and it offers full process support for surveying cases, sectioning cases, address cases, etc. The module is ready. It is available for sale. If you have interest, please reach out to your product counterpart or sales representative. Otherwise, I'm sure that we will be in touch, because this is a really nice extension to the Plan and Build product. Next slide. So looking at the strategy, so Thomas obviously went through our pillars and our sort of priorities, but if you're looking at the strategy for the entire product suite, what we have said previously, and this is still true, 2024 is to be the year of user experience. And I hope that what we have shown you today proves that point and shows you that it is actually something that we invest heavily in. If we're looking at what are we specifically doing on user experience, then it is about the design program that we have talked about in previous releases, also leading to a more consistent, a more intuitive, and a more recognizable user interface. It is about what we call the full flex initiative, allowing customers to design case creation in what you see, what you get designer, and I'll show you a small video for this on this in a minute. Information act request, as we just talked about, we're doing a lot of improvements, but we're also redesigning the solution from a visual standpoint. Board managers and general decision support, focusing both on better user experience, but also better technical stability. OpenGov, or the publishing solution, completely refactored, supporting all 3 product lines. We are going into pilot production very soon. We expect that this is both a better user experience for employees and caseworkers, but maybe even more important, it is a much better interface for citizens, for journalists, for the public, in the way that they can actually interact with you, our customers. And then finally, we're doing case and document redesign, the way that the screens are configured. And again, it is the whole point of everything that we do is that we're redesigning the solution. It's not just about a technical upgrade. So that's one side of the equation. If we go one slide further, then you will see also the other side of that equation, which is the technical framework. So what are we doing, and what is our strategy on the technical side? First of all, I have just shown you the process modeling interface for Plan and Build. We will extend the process modeling capabilities significantly, both moving what we saw for Plan and Build into Public 360, but also introduce new and more intuitive ways of doing process design. We will be going into continuous releases 2024, and this is important for us, obviously, but it's also important for our customers, as this leads to both easier and faster delivery for both features and for product fixes. We're moving into a new infrastructure, Linux-based containers. And again, why is that important? Well, it's more cost efficient. It's also a better setup, and it's much better suited for enterprise scaling. So it's also about stability of the solution. We will continue to expand our integrations and our integration framework, both on the SIF side, but also for several dedicated solutions, including what we have, or sort of highlighted by some of the examples that we have seen and that Thomas has shown in this presentation already. Then we have this area called quality by design. And by quality by design, what I mean is actually, this is both about security, it's about privacy by design, but it's also about accessibility by design. And then I say, and by audit. So this means that our processes support that we actually check for security, for privacy, and for accessibility already when we design the solution, but also there is and will be even more official audits to ensure that we comply and we deliver what we have promised to deliver. We have done this for many years for security and privacy. We will now do the same for accessibility. And then finally, Bjørn Tore made a great presentation today on Archive Inspector. We will, of course, continue to grow on our AI journey, both inside the current offerings, but also with several new releases, both for new modules, but also for AI-enhanced functionality in existing solutions. So more to come on this. So next slide. Then I mentioned this thing about flexibility. And this is an example of how the design interface is going to appear for, in this instance, it's for new case creation. And if you just go forward, then we should be able to see a small video on how this actually plays out. So what you see here on the left-hand side, I have the available fields. In the center, I actually see a representation of the a preview of the case creation, and then I see details on the right-hand side. And you will see that I'm able to click fields to add them. I can do grouping of controls. Hopefully, if the video continues to play, I should also be able to see that we can move fields around. We can do drag and drop or drag repositioning of the controls, and you will always be able to see exactly how is this going to appear for the end users. And then on the right-hand side of the panel, you see then the detailed configuration of that screen. So, for instance, access codes, translations, default values, whether it's mandatory or read-only. And maybe a big extension here is previously we have only done this for additional fields, for new fields, but of course now this will be available for all fields. So this means that you'll be able to have a much more dedicated user experience to the exact needs that you have for not only your organization, but also the individual workers. Next slide, please, which I think wraps it up. So this was the presentation that we have chosen to show today. We are extremely proud, of course, of what we have done. We do have a little bit of time for Q&A. So should we have some answers to questions already now?
Yeah, I think that most of the questions in the Q&A section is answered. So I think that maybe I see that, Willy, that there are quite a few questions about the unregistered document list, which we are also very eager to have much in use. So maybe you could say a little bit about those questions and what you have answered.
Yes, so because so some questions are related to functionality, like minor bugs that were fixed in the first one. Other one is having a filter on the handled by, which is a natural extension and not probably something that we will add in the next release. It's also a question about the use, like the column width, and that's a bit more tricky because it's a bit deeper in the framework that we use on how to define if this table should be, this column should be wide and this should be not. So that's an ongoing kind of issue on finding the best solution for that. And we're re-adding this pin function that was also part of the old view, where you could with a single click kind of assign to me. So that's also been requested by other product managers in this call. So that's we will re-add that one. So I think that was about it. Yeah.
Great, Willy, thank you. Yeah, then we only have 2 minutes left, so I think that we will send out the answers in as part of the things that we send out after the meeting, and feel free to contact us if you have follow-up questions. Yeah, then I think that it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for attending. And please contact your customer contact if you have any questions, or visit TSC for release notes and recording of today's webinar. And thank you very much for participating, everyone. Always good to present our new functionality. So thank you very much.